My name is Aaron Goins, and welcome to All In on Real Estate. I started this meetup because when I was in the military, no one in my circle talked about real estate. They talked about TSP, uh, tax savings, bonds, stocks, things like that. And a lot of times when people deploy, you see a lot more Dodge Chargers and pickup trucks on the road than appreciating value items like real estate. So I wanted to have a meetup where people can learn, educational platform, that speakers talk about different niches in real estate, and the attendees and whoever views it on YouTube can build wealth through real estate, not only for themselves, but for their families. So I'm really, really excited for our guest speaker. I think she's up and coming. The reason why I reached out to her was because I saw a post from her um, that was dear to me. She just purchased a property in St. Louis where her and her partners, they're housing homeless vets. I think that was great, and I reached out to her to, and now she's on our homeless vets call, and I'm so lucky for her to end the month of April, which is all women speakers, to be our guest speaker. So I'm really really excited for you, Monica, to be our guest speaker today. And as you know, I'll let you know this too. Claudia is in Germany right now. So I think it's what, 2 o'clock in the morning or 1 o'clock in the morning there?
It's one.
1 o'clock in the morning there. So she stay up to hear you speak, Monica. So uh, yeah.
Setting the tone, setting the bar real high. Thank you,
Hey.
Claudia, for I hope I'm able to provide some value, some uplifting and motivation, and all of the above. But thank you, Aaron, for inviting me here to, in a sense, share my story a bit about how I got to where I am, where I'm looking to go, and just to be able to have a dialogue with other investors to be able to answer any questions and however I could be of value to everyone. I'm looking forward to that. So yes, thank you again, Aaron, for setting this platform, being another wonderful space and environment for us investors to be able to come and talk about something we're really passionate about, which is real estate. But even more so for me, I like to call myself a impact investor. In most of the decisions that I make throughout my everyday life, not just from a real estate aspect, but just from life in general, I'm always looking at how, not always, but I'm majority of the time looking at how I can make an impact aside from myself, right? And be able to impact the community as a whole. So my name is Monica Duhart. I have spent the last 14 years as a finance cost analyst in the aerospace and defense industry. I am now officially moving on from that and becoming a full-time serial entrepreneur with real estate leading the charge. I got into real estate, I would say, about 3 years ago. Started with just educating myself, passively investing. I'm passively invested in quite a number of properties, and decided to, in the interim, I was always constantly looking for properties to actively manage myself, and, constantly churning through those numbers, and, things not making sense. And to be honest, how I got to where I'm at today is because the end of 2019, my grandmother passed away. And in that, before she passed, I could tell you exactly where my life was headed for the next 5 years. I can give you a full blueprint, right? And it was like she passed away and this big fog came over me, and I didn't know if I should be moving left, right, straight, reevaluating everything, or what was to take place. And my initial plan, a part of my initial plan was, okay, hey, I'm going to get this foundation in real estate. I'm in the multifamily space. I'm going to kind of do what, we're being taught by our coaches and a lot of these different organizations. Go out there and, find a property that is, mismanaged, and you can add some value to it so you can get it at a better discounted rate and be able to force that appreciation, right? And that way you can put money in your pockets, put money in your investors' pockets, and create this wonderful living community and environment for, your residents. And, but for some reason, and I was just like, okay, well, I'm going to do that. And then after I build a nice foundation, then later on down the road, I want to like switch into some more affordable housing. But as I kept moving forward and moving forward and moving forward, I was just like, this just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. It wasn't settling well with me. And it didn't align with my overall goals, right? Not saying that that's a bad business model. It just didn't align with my overall goals. And so that's when, after my grandmother passed, and the fall came over me, and then slowly the vision started becoming clear. And it was made very clear to me that I wasn't to wait until I built this foundation and then go start helping and focusing on affordable housing. I was to do it in parallel, right? And so that's how we got here today. And I started doing my homework and my research about, you know, the needs. And there's just so many statistics that just show there's a huge need of, I mean, homelessness across the globe is at alarming rates. But then you also look at our homeless vets, and it's like they go and they serve and they come back, and any mishap or mistake or even something, that trauma that may have happened when they were serving, can cause them to end up being homeless, right? And I'm like, there has to be a better way to serve. And that's how it came about. Got with some partners. As I started putting this out into the atmosphere, I started connecting with people, which is how I got with my partners. We aligned from, most importantly, from a heart perspective. And we ended up, it's just crazy because like, as we came together, it just, we synced together so easily, and the traction we got, it just, it really wasn't any problem. Like, people were like open doors, the community partners, the city council was like, hey, we need this, please come in. We want to help you in whatever way we can. And that's how we got our first property. We got a small 12 unit in the St. Louis area, and we're now actively renovating. Matter of fact, we just had our first vet tour a property the other day, and she was like, yeah, I like this. I like what you guys have done, and I want to move in. So that she's going to be moving in, and we already have another unit that we're just about finished renovating, and we're starting on another. So it's like the momentum is building, and we have some more properties that have been brought our way that we're looking at, seeing if the numbers tie out. And we even had the local alderwoman come to us and say, hey, here's this vacant lot. Can you do something with it? We would like for you, I will assist you if you can build a low income housing development here. I will help you get through the city and the paperwork and all of the red tape and et cetera. So that's just sort of the, you know, sort of traction and stuff that we've been gaining and attaining. And it's amazing. I just think that it's a business model. Our business model, in a sense, is more of not necessarily with working with our residents saying, hey, we want to just evict them if they get behind. We want to say, hey, how can we work with you? Maybe we need to put you on a payment plan. Our first course of action isn't to just put them out on the street, file for an eviction notice and put them out on the street. We want to find ways to be able to work with them. We also want to be able to help them from a holistic standpoint, helping them with the mental health issues that they may need, partnering with other local community partners to provide some of those resources. We want to be able to bring in and teach about, you know, financial literacy, money management, eating properly, right? Just things that a lot of people in lower income communities are not educated on, that if they had a little bit more education, it can help from a holistic standpoint and help the community and society overall, right? We want to create a community environment. We want to have things like, hey, here's all of our residents' birthdays. How about we send them a nice gift card for their birthday, right? You know, to say, hey, you're thought about, you're cared about, you're loved, you know what I mean? And when people feel cared about and loved, they naturally start caring about others, right? It's innate. It's something that we're all born with. People are not born and say, oh, I'm a mad, angry person. Like, things take place over life, right? So that's sort of, in a very high level, a bit about our business model and structure, and things that we want to do. We have a lot of other things we want to implement, but that's sort of a little bit of background of my story and how I got to where I'm at today.
Thank you. Wow. Wow. So I have plenty of questions to ask. But let me ask you this first. You say that, you know, you attracted investors. How did you go about your method to attract investors? I see that you got some pretty good investors that, and I'm like, oh, okay, they all come together. So how did you start with attracting other investors?
So honestly, I'm a firm believer in your mind and your words. And so when I started focusing on what I wanted and started putting in, I actually started taking actionable steps to do the research. I'm pretty vocal about what I do, and I started sharing with others. When the timing was right, I started sharing with some of my local networks about what it was I was looking to do. And that's how it all kind of like came together. It was just like, oh, really? That's what you're doing? I've been wanting to do that for a couple of years. Or, that's how the conversations really went. And it was very organic. I wasn't even sharing with them in a sense of, hey, I'm looking for help. I just literally was sharing with them like where my heart is, and what my thought process was. And we just found out that that's exactly where their mindset and everything was at the same time. So that's how it's come about. And the more conversations I've been having about it, the more people I'm seeing that have been like, oh, wow, I want to be able to do more, but I'm not sure how to do more. And so, impact investing or social investing, those things are terms that are not new. They've been around for some time, but they're starting to grow more. And I just think that within the real estate world, there's more people starting to really think about how they can incorporate these things into real estate investing. It doesn't mean you have to go into affordable housing. You can do basic things like, how about you work with a local community partner at your complex, around your area of your complex, and have them come in and offer, say, maybe on a quarterly basis, free classes to teach about like financial literacy or money management. Or how about you build one of those little like book, not a shelf, but like a little book box, and you put a bunch of different books in there that teach on mindset and on like financial literacy, and people can come and just take those books and read at their leisure, and put other books in there for other people to share within the community, right? Or how about you have like maybe in the summer, a summer barbecue where you put as part of your apartment's budget, and you bring in a live DJ and food and stuff and cater it for the community, to bring people together, to bring people to talk to one another, to encourage people to know their neighbors and look out for their neighbors, things of that nature, right? So there's a multitude of different ways you can make an impact. Or how about you, have cut a deal with one of the local yoga studios, and they come in, say, for a month, and offer free classes once a week on a weekend, like doing yoga classes or meditation or whatever that may be, right? There's a lot of different ways you can like give back to the community and think about the community from a holistic standpoint. It doesn't mean you have to go and say, oh, I got to switch over to affordable housing. But you can also think about, okay, how can I add value, and not always think about my bottom line and say, oh, I can't wait to increase the rents next year, $100. You know what I mean? Like, think about your mother or your father or your nana or papa, right? Like, if they've been living somewhere for 7, 8 years and they're in a fixed income, and now the rent's going up $150, $200, are they going to be able to afford that? Is Nana now going to have to find somewhere to live? Will she find somewhere safe to live? Or is she now going to have to go to a more, dangerous community that's more affordable for her? Just little things like that we can think about.
Wow, great information right there. So one thing that, and I think that we was going to talk about this earlier on the Homeless Vets call, was how did veterans get there? We talk about it, you go from transition out the military to now homeless. And I wanted to ask you, so when you house homeless vets, is there any policies, anything that you is it a checklist that when they are housed that they had to follow so that they can stay in there and, uh, uh, basically get things together so that they can move out and have their own place?
So what we do is, in a sense, we kind of take ourselves out of that piece, and we partner with the community centers that work directly with the vets that help them from the mental health aspect. And so they basically have case managers, right? That depending on what their needs are, will come in, if that's daily, if it's weekly, whatever needs for that particular individual, to assist them with things like if they don't know how to cook, or if they don't know what proper hygiene looks like, or if they don't know, like, and these are things like, and you come from a military background, a lot of this stuff you learn and but because of certain things that may have transitioned in your life, it could have fallen to the wayside, right? Or they might not know how to properly clean up anymore, just to like reintegrate them back into society and doing some of the things that we take for granted that a lot of people may not, because of what they've been through, might have sort of forgotten, right? So because we partner with them, we've removed ourselves, because that's not our lane, that's not our area of expertise, and we would be doing them a disservice because we don't know what we're doing with that. So we partner with them and they work with them directly, hands-on. And because of that, if we have a resident that is causing an issue or is going to cause issue, we've already spoken about this, they will work with them. The first step is not going to be to evict them. It's going to be to figure out, okay, what's really happening and what sort of additional services do we need to provide? If it's getting out of hand, then now they probably need to be removed from there and taken to a higher level of care, which would be a completely different type of, facility altogether. And it would just replace, there's so many people on the wait list, we would just replace them with another person that's looking for housing. So that's how we're planning to operate. We've had these discussions multiple times with our community partners. They've been doing this for so many years, so they're pretty experienced with this.
Oh, awesome right there. I think that's very, very smart. Very, very smart. So before I start asking attendees to ask you questions, what is next? What's the next big project you want to work on?
So it's interesting you asked me that. So I have a buddy who he's my buddy. I love this dude. Like I met him and I'm now connected with his wife. I actually volunteer as a finance person for their nonprofit, which is a nonprofit that's basically, it's another social impact organization. And it's not just it's completely outside of real estate. It's for the environment, it's for women, it's for men, it's for just people in general dealing with all sorts of different things, right? And so with that, he and I have literally like this last weekend got together, and he's a real estate guy, a really big commercial real estate dude. And he said, you know what, Monica, I'm ready for us to, partner up and work on like building this really large community of affordable housing. So this is the next big step for us. We're in the beginning stages. We're actually working on our pitch deck, and where we want to start planting our seeds and building our community. But we're looking to actually build ground up, and we want to do it sustainably. So it's going to be a slightly completely different project. It's not going to be, we're not necessarily looking because, the cost of the wood isn't the most sustainable. So we're looking at some alternative sources and stuff out there, potentially prefabrication and stuff of that nature, maybe even a container apartment building built out of containers, just some random different things. So that's what we're looking at. And that's the journey I'm embarking on now. As far as affordable housing goes. And then, I have other things I'm working on because I'm actually learning and educating myself right now on like estate planning, life insurance, how to use it as a tool to build wealth and retain your wealth and be able to pass that to your next generations, and like, credit repair and how to leverage credit. These are all things that our community of people, I want to be able to take back to our community to be able to set themselves up and their next generations for the future, right? Like, how important is it if you have a vet who has bad credit because whatever may have happened, and they just might not necessarily want to go buy a home, but they just want to get a good job. A lot of people don't understand that employers look at your credit when they're looking for you to employ you, right? So helping them get those things cleaned up so that they could be able to attain a job and be able to sustain their families and things of that nature. And then building on that, like, okay, now that you've got this good job, here's some different ways to be able to utilize your funds. And here's this asset and where you can start setting up for your children or your grandchildren so that you can pass wealth along to them as you're building and they can continue to build, right? So these are some of the additional things and lanes that I'm starting to understand and learn about, plus much more that I'll eventually be bringing out to the community that, in my personal opinion, is all a part of my greater vision of building community all together.
So with saying that, have you guys started looking, do you have a specific area you're looking at or anything like that as far as for this affordable housing?
So we haven't decided on which area just yet. That's the next part of the conversation. Our first part is just kind of putting our pitch deck together as to how we want to present it to the community members, like the mayors and city planning departments and stuff like that, because we're going to need to partner with them. So that's the first step. And then we're going to go narrow down exactly where we want. And that's not going to be just, we're going to look at demographics, because demographically, we know what markets we like. It's going to be going and getting on the phone and pitching to these different local members, political members, and saying, hey, this is what we want to do, and seeing what traction we get and which areas are more willing to work with us. And depending on that is how we're going to decide where we're going to start.
I think that we're going to have to talk offline, because somebody I was talking to earlier wants to, the person has land and wants to use fourplex and things like that. So we'll talk offline. I think
absolutely.
I will connect you with the gentleman. I think Hamad knows who I'm talking about this project. So I think maybe you guys could connect and maybe you'll see, because he was talking about that today on the Homeless Best Call.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, I think that'd be great. So let's see. So your partners, let's go back to partners one more time. What was it, a certain criteria you're looking for when you partner with them?
Absolutely. So when people that I'm looking to partner with, number one, I have to align. I like to say I have to align from the heart. If we're not aligned there with what we're trying to do, like, you have to actually care about people and like genuinely care about people and genuinely care about making an impact and are willing to sacrifice certain things for yourself to actually like make an impact. Those are the things I start with as far as where I'm at in the stage that I'm at in my life and what I'm looking for in a partner. So once I start there, then the next layer for me is, okay, what sort of like, not style, but like, how do I interact and engage with this person well, right? Like, are they somebody cool, or are they easily, like, are they easily upset or tempered? Like, are they a good person, basically, overall? I generally like to align with good people that from a mission standpoint, we align. If we align from a mission standpoint, which is the foundation, then the rest can be worked out, right? Because everybody comes from different upbringings and backgrounds, and you can work through those basic things as long as you start with the right, you align from a mission perspective.
Right, absolutely. So I'm gonna open up the questions. I always like to ask one guy to always ask the first question. So Kenneth, do you have a first question you want to ask Monica? I see that he put all his stuff on mute, so probably he left. So, but anybody has any questions they want to ask Monica right now?
I have a question.
Hey, Monica, what's going on?
Hey, how's it going? Hi, Monica. I've been called your name half of my life. So I have a question. I love everything that you're doing in reference to the holistic point of view for your communities. But I'm an attorney by trade, so I'm going to go to the legal side because that's where my head often goes. I know when you're trying to help people, there's always someone who will game the system or take advantage. So I heard you mention that you might try to work with someone instead of just putting them through the eviction process right away, maybe trying to work with them. In my head, I see potential problems with that down the line because you treated maybe this one tenant differently than another tenant. Have you had any issues with that so far?
No, because we wouldn't treat any tenant differently. It would be the same. Every tenant would have that same opportunity if they needed some assistance and to work with, which is why when we bought the property, right, because of this business model that we're utilizing, and that we know how we're going to carry out for the life of us owning the property, we've already accounted for certain things and we've already built in certain reserves up front. So that's why we purchase for a certain price, and we also build in certain reserves because we may have to float certain things for a while if we do have, say, 3 or 4 residents that are having some financial struggles and they're unable to be able to maintain, because we're going to keep that door is open for every single person, right? Now, if we come across and we're finding that there's maybe somebody who's constantly abusing the system, that's a different conversation that we'll have to have, right? They're saying they can't make rent, but then, our property manager happens to be over at the building and see them rolling up in a brand new car, right? That's a different conversation we have to have, right? But also one of the things we're doing too, by us aligning with these community partners who are actually working with HUD, our rents, we don't have to necessarily really worry about, right? Because they're being paid directly through the HUD BASH program and they're paying us market rate rent. So initially at the beginning, it takes a little time to catch up because you got to go through the inspection process and all of that and then get in line. But once the money starts coming in, it's like, it's literally mailbox money. It gets deposited at the same time, each month, right? So, but we do have other residents who are on that program, and we're working with them if they may not, like we did just this last month. We had a resident who had some issues due to the COVID and was unable to make their rent on time, but end up paying it all within like the first couple of weeks. But because she worked with us, she notified us, it was like understood, not a problem. This is why they don't know we have built-in reserves. We know it, and we're not saying, hey, we want people to abuse that. But I think people are more willing to do what's right when you're trying to work with them versus them feeling like you're working against them, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, that's a great program, and I wish more landlords would come at their business from that type of standpoint.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anybody else got a question for her? I can ask questions all day.
So it sounds like you have a model you're following. Do you know of anybody else doing similar things like in other parts of the country like you're doing, or are you just like isolated, just trying it out and just doing this completely on your own with your team?
With our particular business model, I've heard of people doing something maybe sort of slightly, but not quite to the extent that we are and where we're planning to take it. Like we're still in the beginning stages, but where we're planning to take this. I've heard bits and pieces. Mostly what I've heard though are just people who are like, oh, well, I've done Section 8 and I've heard people say, oh, it was great for me. And then you hear the ones that say, oh, it was terrible for me. Well, it just depends on you as the owner and on you as in the property management company that you have, right? Because with Section 8, because the HUD BASH program is basically the same as Section 8, except what we're doing differently is we are aligning with the community partners that help with the other end of the deal, right? That's why it's vitally important to help them from a holistic standpoint. You can't just say, hey, here's a person on Section 8, and here's some housing for you, and think that they're going to just do better. It doesn't work like that, right? You got to put a little bit more into them and into the community so that they can know better, you do better, right? So that's one of the differences that how we're trying to distinguish ourselves. I haven't heard a lot. I've heard bits and pieces from other people who are, as I talk to them and share what we're doing, they're like, oh yeah, that's similar to something I thought about, but they haven't implemented. And I've had some say, that's great, that I want to try that out as well, but not really like anyone, like there's people trying to do stuff, but it's a little bit different. Yeah, it's a lot of trial and error, I think, right now. And I think after a while, instead of us talking in like these little bubbles, we got to like talk more broadly so that a lot of these minds can come together and we can say, okay, this didn't work, this did work. Okay, this is working really well. Let's all try this so we can start having a much larger and greater impact, because there's a huge need. Like it can be overwhelming, the actual need out there.
Sounds like a conference, Monica.
Yeah, and you know what? I actually have two of my friends who just kicked off their, I think it's called Impact Investor Conference or Network or something, and they're planning on hosting conferences. So I'm like, yeah, this is what we need. And they already say, yeah, we want you to come and your partners to get out here and come talk about this, because they're also real estate investors, but they also care about not just from a human standpoint, but from a global standpoint.
Kenneth, we got a question?
Not really, man. It's a great presentation. I'm just curious, maybe you can expand. I know you talked about the partnerships you built with the other non-government organizations that are helping the veterans. I'm thinking the key piece is like that public-private partnership that some people try to strive for, where you get buy-in from the mayors and stuff like that. I know you talked about a little bit about the end of where you're going to present, but how would you recommend like other people approach like the local city members, because everyone wants to help veterans and the homelessness, but do you recommend trying to go directly to the city or municipality, or try to pair up with a local veterans organization that's already reaching out to them?
I would do both, honestly. Because a lot of times if you can get with the right community partner center who already has a relationship with them and you align yourself with them, you can get in the door faster. But a lot of times, a lot of city planning, like the mayors and departments, when you come to them and you're trying to provide a solution for a need that they have, they usually will open the door and take a call and set up a meeting with you. You just need to be prepared to present what they need to hear. Because if you come and you don't have your stuff kind of in order, you're fumbling and you don't really know like what you're trying to do, to them, they're just going to be like, oh, okay, well, you're not really bringing me any solutions and coming to help save the day in a sense, right? Because our government doesn't have the answers. That's clear. So it's up to us to bring solutions to them and say, hey, this is what I would like to do. Can you help me from this aspect, right? Can you give me tax credits for me to do A, B, and C? Or can you give me a 2 or 3 year reprieve on my property taxes? Or what can you do to assist me to be able to bring this to fruition? Whom else do I need to speak with, right? What are some of your future plans with the city and things like that? Like when you come in and you ask those questions, they tend to see that you're serious. And then if you really care and you genuinely care about like creating an impact, they can feel your passion for it. And like I said, you'll start getting all sorts of answers and they'll introduce you to the right people. And it'll just make, headway from there. But if they're not looking for solutions, you're going to be able to figure that out quickly too, because you're going to get the runaround and you're just going to move on, because you're not trying to fight an uphill battle. You just move on to the areas that are looking for people like you to come, us angels, to come knocking on their door.
So one thing that I don't know, I got to do a better job of doing this, but I'm a proud affiliate of the GOB network. And the GOB network, one of our mottos is that we are not here to compete, but we are here to collab and work together to knock out deals. So are you looking for any other organizations to join to help you in your cause?
Yeah, so really what we're looking to do, is we want to start working on creating actually a fund, because what's ultimately needed most of the time, right, is going to be capital. We have lots of different deals and stuff that come our way, that are coming our way, rather, I should say. And just being able to take these down quicker, because to be honest with you, like where we're at in St. Louis, one of the community partners came to us and said, if you had 100 baking units right now, I could fill them all tomorrow. This is the type of need that exists, right? And so just being able to acquire, I mean, literally, she was on the line with us the other day and she was just like, are you close to finding another property to close on? Like, please let us know, you know, because it's sad. It really is sad. Like, so we're anxiously looking for more properties and stuff that actually pencil out that we can close on, of course. So what we're looking at is creating a fund where people can invest in this fund, and then we can go and just acquire multiple properties at once versus trying to buy properties individually. Like, you're going to move a little bit slower, and the need is so vast that, you know, the faster we can move along, the better. One of the other things we're looking for, right, is more, and this is going to be more area specific, right? So if somebody's in St. Louis and says, hey, I know people there who can come in and offer some of these classes to teach your community about financial literacy, money management, how to write a check, how to balance a checkbook, how to create a budget, just some of those basic things that a lot of us take for granted, how to go in and actually open a checking account and savings account, you know, things of that nature. Those are some of the things we're looking for, right? People who say, hey, I'm a holistic healer. I would like to come in and teach people just some of the basic principles of meditation, things like that. Those are some of the things that we're looking for.
Anybody have more questions? I want to ask you. I do want to ask you one question. Anybody have more questions for her?
So for the community involvement, like you said, like inviting people to come in and teach and do things, how's the setup? Like, how do you offer that? Do you have like a conference room, like where they all can get together, like a communal area for your properties? Do you have like a, you know, how do you create that extra space?
So at our current property right now, I mean, yes, we could use our basement to do it. It's big enough where we would be able to do that. But because we're actually about to use that for our storage area to put all of the materials for the renovations, what we're looking to do is find a local center that's very nearby with just an open room that we could utilize that space until we're all done with our renovations, and then we can put some better lighting in our basement and we can utilize that space. Yeah.
Do you guys have any grant writers and like that in the fold to help with writing grants?
No, and I'm glad you said that. That is another key thing that we're looking for. Yes.
Okay. So anybody who know any grant writers? Somebody was talking about it earlier this week. Somebody was talking about grant writing. I think Erickson might be the guy. I'll check. I'll check with some people and see, help you with some grant writers that can help you with the cause, because that's such a billions of dollars are always held up by the government because people don't write grants. Yep. And a lot of times you had to write it a specific way, and if you don't dot the I or something like that, your grant is gone. But it's so valuable and free money from the government, and a lot of people take advantage of it. So,
yeah. I 100% agree. My sister owns a school that is actually, it's a nonprofit because she helps low income families, and she just received about 3 grants in the last 6 to 8 months. And she was denied for so many, and it was because the grants weren't being written properly. But now that she's gotten that sauce down for her particular niche, right? She's been getting, she just was awarded another large grant, I think a couple of weeks ago. So it's vitally important. And there's a lot of lost money. I've heard that there's a lot of money that doesn't get utilized because grants aren't, they're not being written properly to be approved.
Right. Every year, billions of dollars go by the wayside because people don't write grants or just don't have the time to write them. So
Yeah,
I think that's a skill in itself, that can be lucrative and can help a lot of communities out.
yes, I would agree.
Anybody have any more questions for Monica? This has been great. It's been awesome. Eric, you got anything? Edmund?
Monica, are you doing this mostly in California, or what other states are you? Is your program in?
No, I'm actually not doing anything in California because things are very political here, and you have to clearly know people to be able to get into the right doors. Um, and this is also coming from, you know, a network of people that I know that are, you know, in the know and with the funds and the money and everything, and they're even struggling with, you know, making some headway to make things happen here. So no, I don't invest really here in California at all. So St. Louis happened to be the first city we embarked upon only because one of my partners already had a footprint there, and already we had some decent boots on the ground to start with. But another market we really like is Atlanta, basically in the Southeast area. There's a lot of great markets that we would be interested in, you know, planting a nice footprint.
Hey, Lawrence Laddie, what's going on, man? How you doing, man? Mr. International's on here, Kenneth.
Man. Working, brother, working.
I feel you. I feel you. So Monica, speaking of that, right? Okay, so and I'm really happy for you. But what was the process for you to give up your W-2 job? Now, you know, I work Earth spaces just like you are. But what was your process to with certain parameters for you to get away from your W-2 job?
You know, put it like this. Because of some particular things going on, I can't express just yet, but the time is coming where I will be sharing exactly how I got to this particular stage. But let's just say you make a plan and you work towards that plan. Sometimes the plan will have some caveats to it. Mine's definitely did. I actually had planned not to leave my corporate job for another, I would say another 2 years. But you know, I'm excited that I'm now able to move about freely.
Awesome. That's awesome.
I could put it that way.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Are you going to make that move to the South too?
I am.
That's what's up.
Probably, yeah. I'm trying to work on a bunch of stuff here to get things squared away so that I can maybe by end of summer or midsummer be gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So are you going to have a more, once you move to the South, are you going to have a more hands-on approach to you know, trying to get the affordable housing there?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm very hands-on now. I'll hop on a flight in a heartbeat. So I'm definitely pretty hands-on now, but yeah, by me being in those markets, it'll be a lot quicker to get to certain areas there. Because, you know, leaving from California, going across the States, those flights can be long and exhausting and wear you down before you even get your feet planted on the ground. So just being able to just be a hop, jump and a skip away is going to be really nice. Number one, but because I am building other businesses, I'm still going to have some balance in the amount of time I'm going to be spending, because there's going to be other things I'm going to be having my hands in that I want to be involved in with the community. So and other businesses that I'm working on. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's great right there. Makes a lot of sense. Okay, so is anybody else have any questions? We're gonna wrap up this session right here and go to the roll call in the breakout room. So anybody have any more questions for Monica? Okay, so Monica,
Where can we find out more about her or contact with her on LinkedIn, whatever, Facebook, I don't know.
Absolutely. So you can find me, my first name, Monica, last name Duhart, which is Duhart. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook. I am also, you can email me at monica@ascensionacquisitions.com. I can put that in the chat to make that easier for you. And my contact information is also on my website, which is ascensionacquisitions.com. So, and I'll give you my cell because I know this is recorded for those who won't be able to see the chat. My cell is 562-354-3819. And you can feel free to text me and call me. If I don't answer, please leave a voicemail or shoot a text, because sometimes I'm in areas where the calls don't even come through. So if you don't leave a message, I won't even know you called. And if it's a number I don't recognize and you don't leave a message, please don't expect a call back.
Does it say you work at Northrop Grumman?
Yes.
Where at? That's California. I mean, do you know a guy? Do you know Dan Heaney?
I don't.
He's a NASA astronaut. Former pilot, and he's in our mastermind group, mine and Aaron's, and Claudia's. But he's in California too, and he works in Northrop Grumman. And I can't remember. California's a big state. I just like all of it, so can't remember exactly where it is.
Yeah, I mean, even in my building, just my one building, which we have multiple, there are hundreds of people that work in there. And yeah, I mean, and we have a building, like we have multiple buildings in one campus, and then we have another campus like right up the street that has several other thousand people. So yeah, it's large, and that's just those few. That's not even all our other plants.
Hey, I tell you this, I'm the same way in my job. You know, hey man, you know anybody who works in Everett, or you know somebody who works in this plant? No, it's a lot of people at Boeing. So you know what I'm saying. So it's a lot of people, but Kenneth took my spill away from you. I was going to say, hey, thank you so much, Monica, for everything that you have done. Great presentation. And then I'm going to ask you for your contact information for everybody to reach out to you. But my brother right there, Kenneth, already said it. So I don't have to go down that spill now. It's all love, Kenneth.
So you were heading out to the breakout rooms. You were like, hey, let's go. We're done. Let's go to the after party. You were already at the after party.
No. You know I had to go to roll call. I had to go to roll call. You know, I got procedures. I go to roll call, then I go to the breakout rooms. But roll call is important to me. So, but yeah, thank you for the information, Monica. And we'll talk afterwards, me and you. Like I said, I think that we have a person I think that could help you as far as the land. Person already has land already in Chicago. Remember that, Claudia, from earlier today? So I think that we can connect you two guys together and have you guys talk to maybe come together, because that person's really strong about housing veterans and things like that. So maybe you guys can come together on that one. And then also I will reach out to another GOB member, because I think he does know a grant writer. So I will ask, because we talked about it on a meetup earlier this week.
Okay, that'd be amazing. Thank you, Aaron.
No problem. Okay, guys. So we're going to go to the roll call real quick, and then we'll go to breakout rooms. So I think everybody on here is a prior member. Yes, but I'm still going to go to roll call because I still think it's very important. I'll go to it really quickly. Roll calls when I talk about different military groups you can join, or civilians. So I'm gonna start with military. Active duty passive income. Great guys. I had a great talk with Tim Kelly last week. Mike Foster, I will be working with them more and more, especially housing homeless vets. As another group, I think that Monica, you can join forces with. I think that would be a great group to join, because they have a lot of.
Two of my partners are co-owners of active duty passive income.
I forgot. Matter of fact, your partner was on there. Your partner was on, Claudia. Her partner was on the Military Veterans Network. That's in the Clubhouse. Yeah, so your partner was on there. Yes, I forgot about it. Your partner was on there yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was talking about it yesterday. So I don't know how I had that brain fart like that.
No problem. It happens.
And seven figure flipping with Bill Allen. That's a great group. Now, this week is May 1st is the REI Live Veterans REI Live conference. It's a free conference that me, Kenneth, Michael and Susie Barnhart, we all met each other for the first time, and that really kickstarted a lot of things for me in real estate. I will not have my house hacking my duplex right now without that conference, and I met Megan Greathouse. So if you guys had the time, please go to the REI Live, Veterans REI Live conference this weekend. It's an all-day event. It's for free. If you want information, please contact me, but it's well worth it. A lot of great speakers are going to be talking this weekend. White Feathers, they talked actually on Zoom at 8 early last week, but it's a great group out of California doing a lot of military affiliated real estate to help people out. And the War Room Mastermind group, which me, Claudia, Kenneth, and others are part of. Always a great group. Hold each other accountable. I recommend it for anybody. It's only $50 a month, but you get great information and hold each other accountable. So that's a great day to check on each other. That's what we do with Kenneth, Claudia, and others. So, all right, civilians, bigger pockets. The number one real estate, basically network in the world. So much great information, so many great podcasts. If you want information, please go to biggerpockets.com. Let's see. Ring, wholesale real estate investment group that I'm part of, and others. We have chapters in Washington State. We have chapters in LA, St. Louis, Fayetteville, North Carolina, Raleigh, North Carolina, New York City. And it's a great community where we help each other out with wholesaling and fix and flipping. If you want information, please contact me. And also Jamal King's Make Real Estate Real. I think it's a $1,000 course, but it goes from A to Z on all things real estate for cheap. So if you guys want to learn information, please contact me about that as well. And as always, guys, if you guys feel like this meetup is a 5-star rating, please give us a 5-star rating. Always looking for that, or just feedback about how we can make this meetup even better. Okay, so we got through to all that.